And we are back. NFL Week 12 predictions. Season is flying by. I hate it, but it won't stop. So we're gonna get right into it. I ended up going 8-6 last week, making my season total 109-57. Also getting my lock of the week right, which puts me at 10-1 now. More on the lock of the week though later on. But the games I did get wrong. I did get the Commanders Eagles wrong, the Colts Jets wrong, the Ravens Steelers, Seahawks 49ers, Falcons Broncos, and Bengals Chargers all wrong. With my lock of the week being the Dolphins Raiders, picking the Dolphins, and they ended up winning. So, yeah. Starting out this week, Thursday night, November 21st, 8:15 p.m. All games are in Eastern Standard Time, by the way. We have the 8-2 Pittsburgh Steelers against the 2-8 Cleveland Browns. Now, the Steelers, coming off an amazing 18-16 win over the Ravens, while the Browns, quite the opposite, 35-14 loss to the Saints. Now, this game means a lot for both sides, with the Browns pretty much already out of it, but any chance they do have, they would need to win out, and, well, this could be the start of their journey. While the Steelers, on the other hand, are in a really great spot. However, they really can't afford to lose either because they are competing for the 1 seed. Really only a 3-team battle right now. Maybe 4 if you count the Chargers. Yeah. I do have the Steelers winning this game because even though this is a division game, it could go either way because of that. You never know. The Steelers have had the Browns' numbers for numerous years. I don't see that changing, especially with the Browns being one of the weaker versions they are in past years, and the Steelers being one of the better versions they are in past years. So, because of that, I'm going to take the Steelers, and I think it will be semi-close. I think it will be a pretty entertaining game, but I think the Steelers are going to win this game, and I don't think there's really going to be much need to worry. Moving on to our 1 o'clock games, November 24th, 1 p.m., we have the Titans who are 2-8 and the Texans who are 7-4. Now, the Titans, they're coming off of a loss. I know that. 23-13 to the Vikings, while the Texans coming off of a 34-10 win over the Cowboys. Now, this is kind of the same thing with the Browns-Steelers, where the Texans one of the strongest they've been in past years. The Titans one of the weakest they've been in past years. The records kind of say what they need to say. The Texans really can't afford to lose many more games, even with the big lead they have in their division if they're trying to compete for seeding. While the Titans, same thing with the Browns. They can't really afford to lose another game. They're already long shots to make the playoffs. Another loss would pretty much kill any chance they had. I am going to pick the Texans for the same reason, though, because it is a division game. I do believe it will be close. But the Texans are just the better team. They have more to play for because of, the situation they're in compared to the Titans, where they arguably do have more to play for, but they also have to do it for 7 weeks in a row. I don't think that's going to happen. I think it's going to end this week. Give me the Texans. Moving on, we have the Vikings, who are 8-2, and the Bears, who are 4-6. The Vikings, we just talked about them actually, coming off of a pretty good 23-13 win over the Titans, while the Bears, 21-20 loss to the Packers in heartbreaking fashion. The game-winning field goal got blocked. And I do believe this will, yet again, 2 division teams who are in the same situation as the other two, where one's competing for, in their case as well, the division and the number 1 seed, while the Bears are more just competing to stay alive in this race. Because the NFC is a lot better than the AFC in terms of, the records for the playoffs, unless we're talking about certain divisions. But for the Bears, they can't really get in that way. They are going to have to get in through the wild card more than likely. And a huge step would be winning against the division. They still have 5 division games to go, with the combined record between their division being 24-6. So they're going to need a miracle. They have 5 out of their final, 7 games being division games. I'm going to pick the Vikings. No offense, Bears, but I think you will play a great game again. I think this will be, yet again, another close game. But same thing, the Vikings are just way better. I'm going to take the Vikings. Cowboys Commanders, this is really the first division game that I'm feeling pretty comfortable with. The Cowboys, 3-7, 34-10 loss to the Texans, while the Commanders 26-18 loss to the Eagles, who are 7-4. Well, the Commanders are 7-4. This should be a game that could be really good if Dak Prescott was playing, but he is out for the season. It will be either Cooper Rush or Trey Lance. I don't think it's going to make much of a difference. I think the Commanders are going to win this game. I think it's going to be pretty easy for them. Now, I do think it's going to be kind of the same situation as last game with the Texans and Cowboys, where it is a close game, for majority of the game. Entering the fourth quarter, the Texans were only leading 20-10. But I think it's going to be a close game for a decent amount of that game, and then you're just going to see the Commanders absolutely pull away. So give me the Commanders in a game that will be close, but also won't be. Next, we have Patriots-Dolphins. This one means a lot for both sides. The Patriots, 3-8, coming off of a heartbreaking 28-22 loss to the Rams, while the Dolphins, quite the opposite, picking up yet again another win. This time, their win coming against the Raiders, 34-19. Because this really means a lot, because the Dolphins are in prime position to make the playoffs, because they're 4-6. They're only the record to beat right now is 6-5. So, and the Broncos haven't had their bye week. So theoretically, the Dolphins are only a game behind, maybe a game and a half, depending on tiebreakers and all that. They're in a prime position, and they have a really easy game against the Patriots. I think they will win this game with so much on the line for them. The Patriots, same thing with kind of the Titans, the Browns, where they're out of it. Like, they still have a chance, but they're out of it. So I am going to take the Dolphins because, one, they have more to play for, and two, the Patriots could use a loss, help them in the draft, because they really need it. I mean, their quarterback is looking really good. You need to build for him. Next, we have the Chiefs and the Panthers. The Chiefs, 9-1, coming off of their first loss, 30-21 to the Bills, while the Panthers, 3-7, they actually are coming off of a bye week, so there's nothing to say about them. I think this game, on paper, looks horrible. But this will be one of the better games we see this week. I think somehow the Panthers are going to compete neck and neck with the Chiefs. But I don't think it's going to be enough. I do have the Chiefs winning this game. And I do have them being my lock of the week. I did say there'd be more on it later. This is later. So, for lock of the week, if you don't know, I'm going to explain it like I do every other episode. Every week, I get to pick one team only, to win their game. They win, amazing. They lose, not so amazing. The only catch is I'm only allowed to pick each team once. So 18 games, I have to pick 18 different teams. I have to be strategic. Do I want to waste the good teams? Do I want to pick bad teams who I like in their matchups? This is going to be one of those where I'm wasting a good team. We're, right at the 2/3 of the season mark. I'm using a good team. I still have plenty to spare. It's time to start using them. I'm taking the Chiefs. Next, we have the Buccaneers, Giants. Buccaneers 4-6 and Giants 2-8. Really convenient. Not much to talk about. Both these teams also coming off of their bye weeks. Now, big news, however, is Tommy DeVito will be the starting quarterback for the Giants. The Giants deciding during their bye week, we're going to move on from Daniel Jones. I don't know what the situation's going to be. Like, they're going to just try and see if they can build something out of Tommy DeVito, or if they're hoping Tommy DeVito gives them a better chance to win, if they think they can still make the playoffs, or they think they give them a better chance to lose so they can get a better draft pick. I don't know. Either way, I'm going with the Buccaneers. Because the Buccaneers, even though they are heavily injured on that offense, they are keeping up with the best of the best. They barely lose to teams like the Falcons, teams like the 49ers. They are looking amazing, even with these injuries. It just sucks that they're losing their games while looking amazing. I think with a bad team, they're finally going to break through, start a win trend, especially because Mike Evans, right around this time, he is projected to come back. Don't know if he's going to come back this game. I don't think it'll matter if he does or not. I'm taking the Buccaneers to win. Final 1 o'clock game, we have Lions and Colts. This one should be fun. The Lions 9-1. They came off of a pretty close game last week. They only won their game 52-6. Nothing out of this world. They only, allowed 6 points while scoring 52 and making the score dummy, and they're looking like the best team we might have ever seen. But I'm sure it'll be fine. The Colts, 5-6, they come off of a 28-27 win over the Jets in a game where Anthony Richardson looked really good from what he's been doing these past few weeks, last season. Looked like a different quarterback. Now, it's unfortunately for him going from a 3-win team in the Jets to a 1-loss and 8 losses to the Jets to a 9-1 Lions is, I don't think you're going to do very well. I'm taking the Lions because the Lions have a lot to play for. They currently control their destiny. They're easily the best team in the league. They have the 1 seed in the NFC, so if they win out, they get the bye. The Colts, on the other hand, they're in the same situation as the Dolphins, where they're 5-6. They're right in the race for that wild card spot in the AFC. However, they are going to need a bit of help, and they're going to need a bit more because I'm going the Lions. Moving on to our 405 game, we only have one. It's going to be the Broncos, who are 6-5, holding that final wild card spot in front of the Dolphins and the Colts, coming off of a very good 38-6 win over the Falcons. While we have the Raiders, who are 2-8, who came off of a 34-19 loss to the Dolphins. Now, I do think this game will be very close because it is a division game. The Raiders, I feel like this would be one of their games that they just look like one of the better teams we've seen. And then everyone's going to be like, oh, the Raiders, they could potentially, do well the remainder of the season, or they could look to keep their quarterbacks. No, I think they're going to do well. I don't think it's going to be enough to win. I think the Broncos, after scoring 38 points, Bo Nix is looking like the best he's been this season. Give me the Broncos. Because Bo Nix, I think he's right there with Jaden Daniels for that Rookie of the Year spot, and I think he may have honestly overpassed him. Records aside, even with the record, Jaden Daniels only has 1 extra win and 1 less loss. So you really just flip those, like one of those games around. He's 6-5, so yeah. Moving on to our 425s, we have a few of them, 2 to be exact. First one being 6-4 Cardinals, who are coming off of a bye week, and the Seahawks, who are 5-5, who are coming off of a 20-17 win over the 49ers with a game winner. Geno Smith ran it in. Now, this is a huge game to play for because you look at the NFC South. I'll do a quick breakdown right now. The Cardinals do lead the way at 6-4. And every other NFC South team, Seahawks, Rams, 49ers, they all sit at 5-5. So there's a lot to play for because not only are they competing for just really the wild card, but one of these teams is going to automatically make the playoffs by winning the division. And when all 4 teams are within a game or a game and a half of each other, it's a really close matchup. I do have the Seahawks winning this game. I like the Cardinals a lot. I think they will probably win. But just for the sheer fact that it would make the division that much crazier with, all 4 teams potentially having 5 losses, because we'll get to the 49ers and we'll get to the Rams later on. That would be, insane. So give me the Seahawks, not because I think they'll win, but I'm hoping they'll win just to create some chaos. Moving on, we have 49ers Packers. The 49ers, who are 5-5, coming off, we just talked about 2017 loss to the Seahawks, while the Packers, 21-20 win over the Bears. A glove away from losing that game. Now, this is a huge game because this is one of the better non-division rivalries in football. These teams have met in the regular season, in the playoffs. They always seem to do well against each other. But it always seems to be the same thing. The 49ers just end up on top. And as a Packers fan, that sucks because there's been a few moments where I felt so confident in that team. Oh, we can make it. And they just haven't because there's been one team who's just always been in their way. And unfortunately, it's going to stay the same. Even though I think the Packers have a really great chance of winning this game, it also comes down to what I just said, where I think it would be amazing if all 4 teams had 5 losses. I'm going to take the 49ers, although I really hope I am wrong about this game. Moving on to Sunday night, we have the Eagles, who are 8-2, at the Rams, who are 5-5. The Eagles coming off of a great 26-18 win over the Commanders, while the Rams coming off of also a 28-22 great win over the Patriots. Doesn't mean as much, but a win is a win. Now, Both these teams obviously have a lot to play for. Speaking of their records, the Rams with the NFC West we're talking about in the playoffs makes sense. The Eagles, well, they are doing really well. They have a decent lead in their division. They currently sit at the number 2 seed with a decent lead in that. However, when you look at the 1 seed, the Lions are only 9-1. So if the Lions drop a game, the Eagles would swoop right in. And I think the Eagles have a lot more to play for in terms of that. Because I do believe the bye week is the most valued thing, probably in either a first round bye or the number 1 pick. They're both very valued in the NFL. And I do think, unfortunately, making the playoffs by winning your division in a not so great division, or making it as a 7th seed with a not so great record, is not as valued. So I'm going to take the Eagles, and it's going to ruin that 5-win, NFC West thing. But yeah, it's fine. I know it sucks. Finally, Monday night, 8:15 p.m., November 25th, we have the Ravens who are 7-4 and Chargers who are 7-3. This is a huge game for playoff implications as well, because if you look at both these teams, and you'd be surprised with the records they have, sitting 2.5 games back in their divisions, because they're so far losing the tiebreaker to the Chiefs, and the Chiefs being the Chargers with 9-1, and the Steelers being the Ravens with 8-2, both losing their tiebreakers. So this is really a huge battle because there's a good chance both these teams finish with the same record to end the season, and whoever wins this game is going to get the tiebreaker for who has to play who. With the Chargers currently being the 5 and the Ravens currently being the 6. However, I think it will flip-flop. I am going to pick the Ravens because I just love the Ravens. I mean, they have looked so entertaining to watch this season. I feel like I have to pick them. I'm hoping that it's one of those entertaining games where both teams score a lot of points. We have a battle for 2 of the best quarterbacks in the league. I think the Ravens will pull through, however, with just a bit more in my eyes to play for, considering the expectations they hold from last year. The Chargers, had the 5th overall pick. The Ravens ended up winning the AFC. So even if both of those don't happen again this year, I feel like the Ravens are gonna want to at least have a good record. That will do it for the predictions part. To quickly recap, we do have the Steelers, Texans, Vikings, Commanders, Dolphins, Chiefs, Buccaneers, Lions, Broncos, Seahawks, 49ers, Eagles, and Ravens all winning their games, with the Chiefs being the lock of the week. If I didn't say your team's name, it more than likely means I have them losing. Remember, anything could change unless your team is one of the following: the Jacksonville Jaguars, who are 2-9, the New York Jets, who are 3-8, the Cincinnati Bengals, who are 4-7, the Buffalo Bills, who are 9-2, New Orleans Saints, who are 4-7, and the Atlanta Falcons, who are 6-5. Those teams all have a bye week, so we will not see them this week. They get a well-deserved rest. Now, finally, we're going to quickly go over the playoff picture as we do every time. So currently holding the 1 seed, they would get a first-round bye in the playoffs. It is the 9-1 Chiefs and Lions, both sharing the same record. They both have the 1 seed, and I mean, they control their destiny. As long as they don't lose, they keep it. At the 2 seeds, we have the Bills, who are 9-2, and the Eagles, who are 8-2. Both these teams, right there with the 1 seeds. However, they just a game or so behind. The 7 seeds, so they would end up playing the 2 seeds, being the Broncos, who are 6-5, and the Commanders, who are 7-4. So we get a quick rematch of the Eagles Commanders, which would feed families. And, well, Broncos Bills, the Broncos have looked pretty good, even though their record says not so well. It could be a good game. I just don't think it will be. Moving on to the 3 seeds, we have the Steelers, who are 8-2, at the Cardinals, who are 6-4. You're starting to see a little trend here. I'll explain after. Steelers right there with the Bills and the Chiefs for that 1 spot. And the Cardinals, well, they're just here to have fun, it looks like. Although they look really good. It looks like they had an early struggle, but now that they're in the full swing of things, they look scary. 6 seeds, who would play them, would be the Ravens, who are 7-4, and the Packers, who are 7-3. I think both these games are amazing. You got arguably the best rivalry in the NFL in Ravens-Steelers. And then you got the Cardinals-Packers, who have some history with the 2 oldest teams in the league, who have also had some playoff, battles against each other. Should be a lot of fun. And then the 4 seeds being the 7-4 Texans, 6-5 Falcons, going against the 5 seeds being the Chargers, who are 7-3, and the Vikings, who are 8-2. As you can see, the Vikings also competing for that 1 spot. However, they do sit at the 5 because they aren't winning their division. And then you kind of have the Chargers as well, who are doing really well, but same thing, aren't winning their division, with the Texans and Falcons winning their division. Now, if you don't know how the playoffs work, I'll quickly explain it since you're wondering why is one team with a worse record higher than another team. The top 4 teams are going to be the teams who win their division. So since the Cardinals are 6-4, that's enough to be winning their division, they would automatically get a home game. So they are currently sitting at the 3 seed since, they are the 3rd best out of the division winners, with the Falcons being the 4th. So, if the Vikings were in Packers and teams and Commanders were in a different division, they would be, higher up. But unfortunately, they're not. So, blame geography. You can relocate maybe. Who knows? But that is going to do it. No teams have clinched or been eliminated from the playoffs yet either. Although we do have some teams who are getting dangerously close. With really only a game or 2 to spare. That is going to do it, though. I hope you guys enjoyed. I did. I will see you guys next time, which will be with LA Rams Madden franchise. Goodbye. Hope you enjoyed.